On today's episode of Coastal by Design, we're not going to get too caught up in name brands, Ashley, or where something was produced, Vietnam. Instead, we're going to focus on build quality and can we do something with this piece of furniture to make it look awesome. Starting off with this, we've got some solid wood. It's entirely solid wood. They curve this wood. It is plywood, but that's what you would use to curve a nice curve like that. Solid wood all the way through. Very little damage, not a lot of work we're going to have to do with this, and we think it's going to look fantastic painted.
And tell everyone who gave this to you.
Well, I'll tell you, it's nice to have a mother-in-law that loves you. Look, guys, gals, if you can go out and get a mother-in-law, go out and find one right now that loves you. That's the way to go. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. We didn't pay a dime for this, not one red cent.
Even though we've sat at this table hundreds of times, this is the first time we've really taken a close look at it.
Look at this top. I mean, this is amazing. I don't know if the veneer is going to be thick enough to sand it down, but if we can, we're going to cover this with paint wash or just straight clear coat. Not really sure yet. All right, guys, we got this thing wiped down. Cleaned it off a little bit with some degreaser and then hit it with some denatured alcohol to make sure I got all the wax off of it. No big deal. There's no nooks and crannies, so I didn't bust the hose out or anything like that. Now what I want to do is give this a little test because I'm not really sure if this is a photograph, to be honest with you. Looks really pretty. But we're just going to test to make sure that it's actually real veneer. Real veneer is kind of funny, but real wood that we can sand down to wood and put a clear coat on. Let's test it out. I'm starting with 120. I know I'm going to probably be higher than that, but the 120, just in case this is so soft, I just, fall all the way through the tabletop.
You want to clean off all the oil and wax residue before sanding because you don't want to grind it into the wood or gum up your sandpaper.
Good news, guys. We have, in fact, real wood. Now, we'll tell you that the clear coat was a bear to sand through, so we're not going to mess with that. We're going to get some stripper on here, cover it in plastic, and come back and hit it in the morning.
Chemical strippers come in liquid, paste, or gel forms. We prefer the Clean Strip brand because we could pick it up at the local big box store and it's economical and easy to use. We simply brush it on and cover it with a paint tarp that we pick up at the Dollar Tree. Today we're in a pinch and Nate is just using some plastic cling wrap from our kitchen. Once it's all wrapped up, we let it sit for 3 to 24 hours. This is called the dwelling time. Each product will have a different dwelling time, so it's important to follow the manufacturer's instructions regarding the exact application techniques.
Plan B, guys. This stuff started working so fast, we thought it might be a good idea to start scraping now instead of waiting for it to possibly dry and become a much bigger problem tomorrow. So we're just gonna come in here and give it one of these. Yeah, this is bonus program right here.
And look at how beautiful that color is. I don't think we need to do anything to put a clear coat on it.
Yeah, this is winning right here. I mean, you can see right here why we didn't want to let this sit until tomorrow, because all it's going to do is give it a chance to mess up on us. Dry up, get hard, have to start over.
All the stain is off, now off to sanding.
All right, we hit a little bit of a snag. We lost sound on this clip, but we discovered MDF when we were removing the finish. So now the plan is going to have to change. We're going to have to run paint up this side right here and up over this edge that's MDF. We're still going to do the clear coat through the top portion, and then also the painted edge will also get clear coated, and so will the sides. This is the kind of crap that factories get away with when they're going to stain their pieces. You can actually feel this ridge right there, and it runs all the way up here. This has got to be fixed for painting. This will stick out like a sore thumb if this isn't addressed. Got this all wiped down with some degreaser. I'm gonna give it a quick rinse. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna cheat. I said it. There it is. I'm just gonna give this a light sand. I'm gonna fix a couple of problems I pointed out to you here, and then I'm gonna get right to primer. I'm using a solvent-based primer. I'm gonna use the Zinsser bin alcohol-based primer. It makes this thing go so much better because once it goes on, I can sand it smooth, hit it with the paint, and we're off and running. Well, this just got interesting. Look at what Suzanne found. 10 bucks a piece. Now we got a full dining set. Now we're in the paint booth tent. That can mean only one thing, paint. So we're gonna get started on that. I went ahead and borrowed Suzanne's Lazy Susan. That's nice, that'll make things easy. We're gonna tackle this, then we're gonna get to the tabletop. It's gotta get done. Let's get cracking. We are going with the Zinsser bin, not sponsored. Just giving this a quick strain. Never need to thin this primer out, this Zinsser bin. It always mixes super easy, sprays really well. I mean, honestly, it's the best primer I've ever used. Like I said, we're not sponsored, but it is fabulous primer. The only problem with it is it's a little difficult to clean up. You have to use ammonia or denatured alcohol, and it smells pretty bad. Honestly, it's probably not good to breathe, but oh, it does a great job though. Definitely got a little reckless while I was spraying. Went really heavy, but I got away with it, no runs. Got it on heavy enough to where I had enough material to sand it and get it silky smooth. We're just giving this a light sand. There are some imperfections, some little dimples and things like that. We're not going to worry too much about those things. We're just getting it smooth so that it'll take primer. And if you like what you're seeing, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Also, leave us a comment and let us know what you think of the progress.
After the sanding, we got started on the masking, which needed to be very precise. We couldn't afford to get any of this primer or the paint on the wicker, but especially the primer because this is not coming off unless we rip off the wicker. We had a different plan at this point of just oiling the wicker, and you'll see later that we decided to actually stain it. Had we thought of this earlier, we would have stained the seats before doing the priming and the painting of the chairs.
Painting chairs is one of the most difficult things to spray. I considered the primer as practice. Everything that was primered was rubbed down with this Quad Zero still wool. This will leave a nice smooth texture. All it does is just knock off some of the high spots. I like to blow off the furniture with my air compressor before I use the tack cloth. Now that the primer's on and we've got it all rubbed smooth, we're going to address a few of the imperfections, including this crack right here, which I'm just going to take care of with a little bit of caulking. This is the caulking trick. I've shown this a couple of times, but here it is again in a nutshell. Caulking on, wet finger, smash it in the crack, and then hit it with a wet sponge like so. That's it. Tack cloth and painting. With this Flexio paint sprayer, we get really good results, really close to factory finish with this detailed nozzle. But the way we get there is by thinning out the paint quite a bit. It's more than the manufacturer recommends, but the results speak for themselves. By the way, we're using the HGTV Sherwin-Williams brand of paint from Lowe's at $60 a gallon. It lays out beautifully, and we use that because we're not going to spend $140 on cabinet and furniture paint when we're going to put a clear coat over it. The biggest drawback of changing your mind is that in our case, we ended up having to mask everything twice. Had we known that we were going to end up doing the stain on the seats and the tabletop, we would have done things in a reverse order and done the stain first, masked, and then done the paint. Pulled the masking off, the one-time masking, and then clear coated everything. But didn't work out that way. Guys, we are a brand new channel and we're on a race to 1,000. If you got some value out of this video, please give us a like, consider subscribing, and if you have any comments on how we can make the channel better, please leave us a comment. We'd really appreciate that. We read all comments. Thank you again for watching. This was a water-based gel stain from Minwax, and I had to thin this out by 40 to 50% in order to get it to saturate all the fibers. I left it on for about 5 minutes or so and then blotted it dry. We are on the home stretch. It's clear coat time. Today's clear coat that we're going to be using is Varathane Triple Thick, thinned out to well beyond the manufacturer's recommendations. Crossing fingers. Let's hope for the best. Let's get cracking. Who doesn't love a good clear coat? Man, I know we do. It's so beautiful when you're putting it on because it always looks gloss and shiny and wet and beautiful. However, this is a satin clear coat and it's going to dry satin. And that's what furniture really should have, in our opinion. But boy, it really looks amazing when you're putting it on. We let this polyurethane dry for about 8 hours and then rubbed everything down with some printer paper. You could actually get the same result or close to it by crumpling up a brown paper bag and wiping everything down. Although I think the printer paper is a little less abrasive.
And now it's time for the reveal.
Wait, already? It's all so unexpected.
Such a dork.
All kidding aside, and without further ado,
We love the way this table turned out. The contrast between the alabaster white and the dark, rich walnut finish is beautiful. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Now check out our next video coming up right now.